Today we're going to be talking about pipelines. Pipelines are what you're going to be doing to put your entire path together. And this is, you can see pieces of it inside of ClickFunnels, but I haven't seen it laid out this way in any other software. So it's been really helpful for me to keep everything organized in my brain by creating a pipeline. So our first week, we went over your website and your settings and all of that. Last week, we went over your products and your offers. And so this week, we're going to be going over pipelines and email campaigns because this is how you start really marketing your product. So a pipeline is the same as a funnel. And what that means is the journey you're taking your subscriber on to turn them into a customer. So traffic means they're going to your website, they're seeing your pages. If they go to your opt-in page and they give you their email address, they turn into a subscriber. And then we want to put them into an automated journey that then pitches to them our product so that they become a customer. And pipelines is how we're going to do that. So you're going to click inside of pipelines and click create pipeline. And then you're going to see some different options. All this means is it just going to be an opt-in? Is it going to lead directly to a sales page? Is it going to be a product launch? These are just pretty much pre-assembled funnels that Kajabi's giving you if you don't want to have to think of everything yourself. If you are doing a webinar or a masterclass, then this is the funnel for you. Otherwise, you can go here to legacy pipelines. You know that I'm old school. And one of the ones like you can use, for example, a virtual summit here, a webinar here, or a product launch here. I just use this funnel, and I can show it to you in a minute, for my 4-part video training series. So people opted in for the training series, and then this is the funnel that they followed. But before we get complicated, I just want to start with a blank funnel or pipeline. Oh. Hang on, let's get his, let me stop the share because I need to get his marketing settings set up so that we can send emails. Any questions so far? Okay. So it will not let you send emails until you have this together, which is totally fine. I'm just going to get this together really quickly. I'm going to put his default time to send at about 6 a.m. Okay. Let's try that again. And that should, Okay, hang on just a sec here. I'm honestly glad like when the tech issues happen when I'm on the call, because otherwise, you know, it might happen to you and you won't know how to handle it. So give me just a second here. For some reason, it's not saving those settings. So I'm just going to come in here and try this one more time. Okay. Got it. Okay. Once more with feeling. So we're going to name this free opt-in. I suggest naming it the specific name of your opt-in when you have it, just because once you start getting into 5, 10, 15 pipelines, it can get a little confusing. You're going to click create. And it's going to give you this little diagram. And if you do one that is pre-made, you're going to have more than this, but I wanted to take you into the blank pipeline so that if you needed to, you could build it yourself step by step. So this is going to be your opt-in page. What you can do then is add in some landing pages. So maybe you want to add a thank you page, and you can select one of these. So let's choose a more manly theme there. Okay, so thank you page. So once someone opts in, they're going to go to this page. And then I'm going to put in a sales page. After many years of doing this, I found it's really great to have sales pages and offers for each pipeline so you can accurately track your stats. Otherwise, if you only have one sales page and one offer, you don't really know exactly which pipeline your sales are coming from. Does that make sense? So all you need to do in that case is duplicate your sales page, and that's really simple. We don't really need to talk about that right now, but for the sake of this, we are just going to select one of these, and this is going to be the sales page. All right, so we have our opt-in page, our thank you page, our sales page. What we'll need to do now is add an offer. I'm going to choose this because this is the one that we have. And there we go. The only thing that we are missing is an email sequence, but I'm going to be able to build that in just a second. So is this making sense? Opt-in page, thank you page, sales page, offer. So this is the journey you're going to be taking your subscriber on. So if someone comes into my quiz, then after they give me their email address, they're sent to the thank you page where they can actually take the quiz, right? And then I'm sending them emails in an email sequence pitching this, the sales page. And this sales page is tied to this offer. So what we need to do now is we need to go back here and go to forms. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a form. This is how we're going to collect their email address. And what you're going to do is you're going to unselect that. And then we are going to select the thank you page that we made. And then we are going to look here and go, okay, I'm collecting their name. I'm collecting their email address. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. Then if you want to, I talked about this earlier, you can actually create a checkbox. You see this? I understand that by giving my email address, I'm giving permission for Arthur to send me emails, promotions, and free information, making that required. So this is how you get around the double opt-in email. Does that make sense? You know how with some of them you sign up, but it doesn't really add you as a subscriber until you click confirm in your email? Very few people actually do that. So I would rather get over that objection right on the opt-in page and make it required for them to check that. Because if they're not going to check that, that means they want my freebie and that's it. They never want to hear from me again. I'm not going to be paying to hold their email in my system, right? So I'd rather just do that first off. So name and email, remember that collects automatically usually when you're creating a form, but then you can add a checkbox that says something like this to get around this, the double opt-in email to new contacts. So we're going to save. So we've created our form. Now we can collect people's email addresses. Very exciting. The next thing we're going to do is go into email campaigns, because even though we have their email address, we want them to automatically go into an email sequence, right? So the way we do that is we create a new email campaign and we select sequence. Here we go. So this is going to be email 1. You know, it's going to be beautiful and transformational and change people's lives. I'm just going to save that for kicks so that you can see this screen. So here is your email sequence. We're going to deal with this in just a second, but this is where you are going to fill out all of your emails. In my opinion, my email sequences range from 8 to 10 emails. So you can add quite a few in here, and I do send them once a day. So if we were going to add a new email, it would send on day 2, right? Save. So you are going to be spending some time creating or moving your email sequence, but you can do all of that right here. The next thing you're going to do is add your subscribe trigger. We're going to add trigger when, and we're going to go to form is submitted because we just created that form, right? Form is another word for opt-in. Then subscribe to email sequence. So we're going to select example form, my mistake. So you select form is submitted, then you select the exact form that you just created. Then this is automatically here, subscribe to email sequence and example sequence. So that's good. So the great news is now we can go back into our pipeline. Remember, the pipeline is where everything is stored so you can see the entire funnel. We have our opt-in, we have our thank you page, our sales page, and offer checkout. And if I were to go in here, this baby is blank, right? So what we're going to do is select two-step opt-in, form, and select that form we just created. And then for the thank you page, we're going to click go to next pipeline step because we've already created that. Otherwise, you can select URL and put in the URL if you want to. So that sets up so that this page understands. Let me toggle this so you can see. So this page understands that, oh, we're linking to this form. We're going to send them into this email sequence. Okay, I know this can be a little bit overwhelming, so let me just take us through the steps again. We created our pipeline so that we'd stay organized with our opt-in, thank you page, sales page, and offer. This is a good way for your brain to just comprehend this is everything that happens within this step. Then we went into forms so that you could create your opt-in form. Then we went into email sequences so you could create your email sequence. Now we know that whenever someone opts in here, since we've linked it to the correct form, that they'll automatically be subscribed into the email sequence, right? So we have all the basic steps here. What I'm going to be showing you after this is how you can actually create already made pipelines, but I wanted to make sure that if you were just starting from scratch, if you didn't like the way, Kajabi had the pipeline set up, you could still do it 100% on your own. So I've selected this edit two-step pop-up. I could do all kinds of things here and just select, whatever images I have here if you want to. Otherwise, you can just take out the image. It really doesn't matter. But I usually do one where it's like me, encouraging people to sign up in some dorky way. And then you can go into here if you want and edit this text. And all of this is here. You can change the button color if you wanted to make that like black. You see what I'm saying. When you're done with this, this is the important part. Remember to unselect this. Beep. So that you can edit the opt-in page. Otherwise, that thing ain't going away. It's just going to hang out. So then when I am working on my opt-in, what I'm going to do is add a call to action button. And this is where I can say open two-step opt-in pop-up. That's what I just showed you. And so as you build your opt-in, and I'll show you this more on mine, you're going to be able to add in these buttons knowing that that's going to open the two-step opt-in for people to join your sequence. Any questions on this part? No? Feeling pretty clear? Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is show you in my system what my pipelines look like. Let's bring that up here, so that you can see this actually in action. So I told you about the 4-part product launch, which is also called like a video series. And so that's something that I just did. So I made sure to name that bad boy. And then here you can see the email capture, the email sequence, the thank you page, and then my 4 videos, my sales page, and my offer checkout. These little boxes here are just automations. And then the lounge welcome sequence, you don't really have to worry about that. So do you see here's my email capture, also known as my opt-in. So it says here, when the form is submitted, which is podcast stages and publications form, then subscribe to email sequence, podcast stages, publications, launch sequence. We have the email sequence here. We have the thank you page here, etc., etc. So let me show you another one. Let's look at a quiz. Here we go. So this is the color quiz. We have the opt-in. I have the automations here, and you can always click here to add an automation. So if you're creating a funnel without Kajabi's help, you're doing it from scratch, you can connect your email sequence right here. There's so many different, and what can feel confusing is that you have so many options to make something work that sometimes you're like, oh, I feel like there's too much. But as you get more and more familiar with the software, you're gonna be like, oh, I can just do this here. Or, oh, I know the workaround back here. It will get easier. So please don't beat yourself up learning this new software, learning this new language and feeling like, I just wanna give up, I can't do this, because then you'll go back to trying to link MailChimp with Squarespace, with Teachable, with Samcart, and you'll go back to being miserable. Do you have a question, Arthur?
And then how do you test the sequence out to make sure it's working?
Okay, I'll cover that in just a second.
Okay.
So for this color quiz opt-in, we have the opt-in page, the email sequence, thank you page. Not rocket science, right? But in my email sequence, I'm encouraging them to then go into my color masterclass, which is another pipeline. So you can do that as well. You have a lot of flexibility. And the last pipeline that I'd love to show you is the webinar or masterclass pipeline. You do have the ability to host your webinar live, which you technically have to do with YouTube Live. So there is a little bit of tech involved, but you 100% can do it. I tend to not really be a live webinar person. I like to make sure that, it's short and sweet. So I tend to pre-record mine and then just upload the video on the thank you page. So you can do either. Remember, Kajabi works with Wistia, and Wistia, we don't pay extra for, otherwise you'd be paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month for them to host your material. But they have a partnership with Wistia, so you can upload videos natively inside of Kajabi, up to 2 gigs, which is one of the reasons why I moved over, because if you guys know me at all, I have so much video content, it's frightening. Okay, so let's go into this pipeline. Here we have the opt-in, and you're gonna see something different here. This is an event. And an event is a little bit different, and I'll show you how to build it in a second, but it puts the emails more in regards to time period. So you select the date for your webinar, and it doesn't matter if it's pre-recorded or live. Select that date, and then it's going to say, okay, do you want to send an email an hour before, 2 days before? And it's all tied to when this event is happening. And then you can add emails a day after the event, 12 hours after the event, etc. So it's just structured a little bit differently, so you can be more creative and more specific with when your emails are going out. But I will show you that in just a minute here. We have the email sequence, we have a little tripwire, and then we have the masterclass page. So this one is very basic. You can see the blocks right here: text, video, call to action, Facebook comments, call to action. So literally, here's the video, natively uploaded, almost 43 minutes. Here's the workbook. Here's the Facebook comments. Here's the call to action to join the program. Could not be more basic, works great, looks amazing on mobile. So that's pretty much all I'm concerned about. And then down here, we have the sales pages, we have the thank you page, we have the offer. So are we pretty clear on what this looks like? Okay, so when it comes to testing, what I tend to do is I tend to use one of my emails to just see if I can get through the opt-in. There's not really a way, unless you make your offer temporarily free, for you to like test buy. That is something that's cool about ClickFunnels, but it can get complicated. And if you don't make sure to set it back and reset the settings, then it's free for everybody. So that's a whole nother subject. So what I do if I want to test something and I'm just concerned with the opt-in, making sure it works and the email sequences, is I'll literally just go in here. I'll right click here, go to details. This is where you can customize your URL. This is where you can customize the title of the page. And this, which I still need to fill out clearly, is where you have your SEO. So if you were to Google the podcast stages and publications masterclass, that's where this information shows up. Your image, all that stuff. So that's nice. You're not having to like use Yoast or something with WordPress to make it SEO friendly. It all happens here. So customize your URL. In this case, you can see it's visibilityvixen.com/plan and then copy. And then you can go into a new window, paste. It's going to think about it because it's a dinosaur. And there she blows. So I can look through, how's the page looking? Am I happy? If you like this, by the way, it is called evidence. You can use proof, you can use all these different ones, but I got through AppSumo, I got evidence for a lifetime fee. So you can do that if you want. Okay. So you can click here. Here's that little opt-in. There she is. And I can say, Michelle, this is my other email. That nice little consent box, send me the free videos. That's going to take me to my Tripwire page. Remember where I said go to next pipeline step? That's this page. It's set up for the visibility calendar. Yay, does this look right? Does this look amazing for you? Oh, it's just going to change everything, right? And if they were to click this, they would go into the offer page and they can check out. So that's as far as you can get with just kind of your organic testing. Otherwise, like I said, before you make it live, you can make everything free and go through the entire process and make sure that it's granted you access to everything. But in my experience, no offer has not gone through because Kajabi literally won't even let you fill out your offer unless you have your PayPal or Stripe set up and your marketing settings set up and all of that. So it really takes care of that for you. How are we feeling so far? Let's unmute for a second. Just want to get kind of your feedback of how you're feeling with everything, because I know it's a lot.
Yeah, I think you just have to go through it a couple of times and experiment with it to see how it all works. I mean, the great thing is it all ties together in one program and you're not having to try to get several programs to communicate with each other, you know?
That was my devastation for so many years.
Yeah, because if one program updates, they update settings on it, then it won't communicate anymore and you've got to go in and troubleshoot what's wrong.
It's a nightmare. It really is. Yeah. I can't tell you how many launches I had that failed because Samcart and Teachable didn't like each other. So, so are there other things that can work as well? Yes, but this has definitely been the most successful for me. So let's chat a little bit about how do you monitor your stats? That's also very easy inside of Kajabi. We've talked about your overall website stats, but what you also can look at is, let's go here to the color webinar. You can go here and it says view stats. Handy dandy, right? So it's saying, this is not correct, but it's saying like, okay, you've had this many conversions. It's not really tied to my sales, so this isn't super correct right now, but you can at least see how many people have gone through your funnel. So you can track everything here, and then you can look at your email sequence and see how many have sent, how many opens do you have, how many clicks do you have. So that's really nice. You can see like, okay, where does that drop off happen? Or where are people not clicking? Like right here, step 2, the lounge roadmap, like people aren't clicking that. But that's because this is technically tied into the lounge email sequence because I haven't gone back through it. Ignore all of that. Just know that if you want to go through the stats of your pipeline, you can do that very easily by just clicking view stats. Clear? Okay. Any other pipelines you would like to see? All of your funnels are going to be stored under the pipelines section. Depending on your plan, you'll either be able to add, I haven't checked them lately, I think it's 15 and then unlimited or whatever. So depending on your plan, mine personally has 15. Sometimes I want 1 or 2 more, but then I actually make myself go back through and delete old ones because you really don't need more than 15 funnels, Michelle. Like, calm yourself. Something that you can also do if you're interested, I have a couple of affiliates, and so it was a little confusing for me to just have that in pages. So I actually created a pipeline and just added pages. So there's no sales attached to any of this, no offer, no email sequence, but I duplicated my sales pages and I made it specifically for my affiliate. So like this one, for example, is Amber. So I changed my URL to Applause Academy Amber. And then on her button, I actually put in her affiliate link. So instead of her having to go in and get these ugly long links, she can just direct people to Applause Academy Amber. So that's a little clever workaround. I don't know if anyone else does that, but that's something that I discovered to just make it really easy. What else can I tell you about? You can, of course, do templates for people. You will just have it linked to like a page or your Google Drive file or however you want to deliver that. That's pretty easy as well. Okay, so let's go into email campaigns. Email campaigns, you have 2 types of campaigns. You have your broadcasts and you have your sequences. Sequences are tied when someone opts in, so they get a certain number of pre-written emails. Broadcasts are when you are sending like a weekly newsletter or a weekly email to your people that have bought your product or whatever. So when you see a little thing here, that means that it's a broadcast. If you see this little circular arrow here, that's a sequence. But you can very easily go here into sequence to only see your already written email sequences. You can see your stats, you can see your opens. If you want to adjust it, you can go to edit. If you want to look at the reports, you can go here. If you want to clone it, you can go here. So that's pretty easy. You can also look at the emails you've sent and you can look at those stats. You can look at the emails that are upcoming that you have scheduled. Don't have any right now. But if you're like launching a program, what I did when I ran Applause for the first time, I didn't have a preset email sequence yet. So once people bought the program, I literally scheduled emails for every Monday when a new training was coming out and highlighted the training and encouraged them to log into the product so that then I didn't have to worry about notifying anybody because it was all set up to go. So if you're a coach or a program creator or anything like that, you can do that in advance if you're not ready to have an email sequence set up quite yet. And then you can go back into it and, copy it over into a sequence. You can also look at your draft emails. These are usually tests that I'm, setting up for people. That's why they look ridiculous. And you can search through your email campaigns if you would like. We've talked about creating an email sequence. Let's talk about creating an email broadcast. This is a newsletter. This is a one-off email. You can select all kinds of different themes here if you would like to. In the beginning, when this first launched, people had issues with deliverability because of all the images and the coding. I've heard that that's improved. As you know, I'm old school, so I use the classic editor. So You can give this a title. This title is for your reference only. Then here you're selecting who does this go to. So if I didn't touch anything, it would go to all of my subscribers. And by the way, Kajabi tracks like people that have unsubscribed or haven't necessarily been active or have not consented to the marketing emails, and it keeps them in the system. So in reality, I have like, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000, but it condenses it to the ones that you 100% have permission to email whenever you're sending a broadcast. So that's nice. You're never going to hear from people like, why are you emailing me? So what you're going to select, if you don't want it to go to the people who have bought from you already. So if I'm sending out a weekly newsletter, I don't need to send it out to my lounge members or people that are a part of Podcast Weekly or Applause. So I go to custom segment and I say does not own product. And I go through my different products. So Helen's not going to get anything from me this week, right? Because she's a part of 2 of these. And then it's going to go through and only send it to this many who aren't a part of that, of any of those programs. That's a nice way to do it. Otherwise, and I could narrow this down even further if I wanted to, hasn't opened an email in the last 30 days. I don't know, 90 days. So as you can see, you can send this in whatever way that you want to. You can segment it in whatever way you want to. Then you can put in your subject. This is the one that people will see in their inbox. And then you can fill out the email. You can add images. This little thing, by the way, which I just discovered, which is embarrassing, is actually a button. And I had no clue. And one of my students showed me, why didn't you work? Oh, I didn't put in a title. Click me. Okay. And that will put in a button, link to a hyperlink. Isn't that fancy? I'm sure many people have gotten this years before me, but for me, I did not. Save and continue. You're going to be able to review your email. And then in this last step, you can send it or you can schedule it for a future time. Making sense? Pretty straightforward, which is nice.
How many people will Kajabi let you have on your email list? Is there a limit?
Let me look real quick. The nice thing about Kajabi is that they don't really count it by a quote unquote list. So it's not like, oh, you have 2,000 people on your list. They count it by active members, and they calculate active members to people who have logged into your products, I think in the last 15 days, as well as who has opened or clicked on your emails for the last 15 days. So what's really nice about that is that you're not technically paying for the storage of names and emails. You're paying for who's actually active. So it gives you a lot more room before you have to upgrade your plan. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. So if you're on the basic, 1,000 active members, 10,000 contacts. On the growth, 10,000 active members, 25,000 contacts. So, and let me see, do they have pipelines? Okay, on the basic 3 pipelines, on the growth 15. So that's what I have. So very exciting that you're not necessarily having to worry so much about the actual number. But if you ever want to clean up your list, you can easily do that as well. You can go into people here and you can select like anyone who hasn't opened or hasn't been active in 300 days, I don't know, and you can just delete them from your system. And we will be going more so through people next week, but I just wanted to give you that overview. If you want to go in more detail with your automations, for example, you want to send an email after a post is completed in your product. You want to add a tag when someone's purchased an offer. You want to send an email when someone's canceled an offer. You want to send an email when a payment's failed. You want to, what other things do I have here? You want to subscribe them to an email sequence when they submit a form. You can do all of that independently here through automations. I usually am not inside automations because I set up those automations through offers or through forms. But if you want to make sure you have all your bases covered, you also have access to the Independent Automations tab where you can go through them and check them out. So just to explain that a hair more, I showed you in pipelines where underneath the opt-in page, you could add those automations, right? You can also add those automations here inside of offers. So do you see that here? So I can do all of it inside of here and I don't have to worry about going to the automations tab. So they are linked together in different places, but if you need to see more of the overarching view, you definitely can. The other place where you can find automations is inside of your product, like inside of the lounge, where you just saw, I'm trying to remember which one it's under. Let's look here. So you see right here, I could add an automation. I could grant them an offer. I could unsubscribe them from an email sequence. I could, add a tag, send an email, send a coupon, whatever. So that is what automations is all about. And then let's chat about events. So there's a couple of things that you can do with events, which is really neat. The first thing is, if you're hosting an event on a specific day, fantastic, you can create that here. The other thing that you can do here is create evergreen timers. What's really nice about that is if you want your masterclass, people can sign up for it every 15 minutes, let's say. So if you're coming from a software like EverWebinar, then you can create that automation here, which is really, really nice. I sometimes like to add timers because it's an added incentive. So like I set this up for showing one of my students the other day. What you would do, name your timer, set when this event is going to occur, whenever it's going to be. It could be in 5 minutes, it could be tomorrow, it could be in 6 months, whatever. But if you want it to repeat, select repeat here. And then select how often you want it to repeat here. So in this case, it's 24 hours. Then what you would do is inside of your pipeline, come on, there we go. So like in my opt-in page here, I have an evergreen timer. So all you have to do on the side is click event and select this calendar. And if you want it to look clean like that, just select none, show countdown timer. And in this case, if you wanted it to be true urgency, you could use an after countdown action and send them to a different URL. Otherwise, if you don't really care and you just want it to be evergreen, don't select that. Select your style, background image if you'd like to, and add your button, which is here. Making sense? If you're going to be selecting and setting up, let me go back here. Let's go to creating a pipeline. New pipeline. If you're going to do a masterclass or something, then you're going to want to select this. And then you're going to select the date that it starts and the time zone. And if you want to link the offer you're selling, you can. You don't have to. Create pipeline. Take a nap while it builds. Okay, there it goes. So this looks a little bit different. Remember the blank one, there was nothing here. Because you're selecting a pre-done pipeline, it's gonna already give you your registration page, which is your opt-in page. It's gonna put in your email sequence. It's going to have that event attached, and it's gonna give you a confirmation page and a sales page. So that's really nice. And then what you could do here, let's see what they have automatically set up. Okay, it is going to list the time here. And let's see. It doesn't have a timer. So in this case, what I might do is go in and put like an event countdown. And see how that pops up. Remember, you can always, since you're setting it to repeat, this will change after the webinar goes live, and it'll be a 24-hour timer every time someone wants to sign up. So that's really nice too. So you can host a webinar live and then have it become an automated situation. You'll just need to go into your email sequence, take out those Zoom links or live page links and change it to your Evergreen Masterclass page link. You can go here into the email sequence they've already created for you, and you can see how it's a little bit different. Instead of it just having emails that you can put in, it's going to be formatted a little bit differently, which was my long-winded explanation while waiting for Kajabi to create this part of the funnel. There we go, I did it, okay. So this looks a little bit different. As you can see, this is linked to this event. It has the date when it occurs, it has the time zone. Be sure to click repeat this event and put in that desire, because even though the countdown timer for the event is going to then turn evergreen, the emails won't. So you want to select repeat the event and when you're going to have that happen. And then we're going to save. And how exciting, we can now click through, add our emails, and see this little box here, when, at time of registration, at time of event, before the event, after the event. So this gives you more customization instead of a normal email sequence, which all you can do is have it be sent out immediately and then the next day, the next day, the next day. This one, you can actually have it be 15 minutes before, a day before, 10 days before, at time of registration. So do you see what I mean? You're taking, you're able to customize the experience around this event more fully. This is something that you cannot do with MailChimp, ConvertKit, any of that stuff. So this is more unique to Kajabi. You might be able to pull it off in ActiveCampaign and Infusionsoft, but how to get the timer to do this and to know this, I don't know. So I would much rather do it here. You can see that the actual event is happening right here. And then see this 1 minute after the event, maybe that's the replay if it's evergreen. 1 day, 2 days, you can also do hours. So I usually have it send out 1 hour after the masterclass starts. Hey, here's the link to the replay, because I know that my class is 42 minutes or something like that. So you can do all kinds of cool stuff here. So if you've always dreamed of having a masterclass / webinar funnel, this is how you can get that done. The great thing about these funnels, they increase conversions, they increase brand familiarity. So I always recommend that someone have at least one of their funnels be a masterclass, because I can't tell you how wonderful that's been for me. This thing here on the side, this blueprint checklist, will try to help you. You know, it does its job to some degree. It definitely helps. But just remember, you need your opt-in page. You need the automation, making sure that it's attached to an event. It will create the form for you if you do this preset pipeline. You need your email sequence. You need your confirmation page. You need your sales page. If on a webinar page like this, you are going to do a tripwire, meaning you're going to present a low-cost offer right after they opt in, that's going to be this page. And then you're going to add a page for the masterclass to live, or the webinar to live. If you're going straight from registration to the actual event, the video, the masterclass, the webinar, then you're going to embed the video on the confirmation page. So it just depends on if you're going to offer a tripwire or not, or if it's going to be an event in the future, then obviously the confirmation is just going to either be a thank you or a tripwire, because you're hosting it at a different time and you can send them that link in the emails. I know that's a lot of information to cover. I know you probably think I'm speaking Japanese, but The good news is you can always come back to this training, and I would rather cover everything so that you can come back to this and go, wait, what did she say about webinars again? Because obviously you have access to this course indefinitely. But the bottom line of what you need to know is to set up your website and your settings, create the product that you're selling and the offer so that you can sell it. And then when you want to start actually marketing this product and making money with the product, then you're going to start creating pipelines so that you can then send people to your free opt-in. If you're sending out a blog, if you're doing a live stream, if you're doing a video and you're putting it on YouTube, you're going to be giving them the link to your opt-in. That's how they're going to join your list to become a subscriber, because then you're emailing them weekly, you know, telling them about your deals and about you and stuff. And that way they can go into this pipeline, become a subscriber, go into that nice little preset email sequence, and then become a customer. Because in that email sequence, you are sending them to your sales page, which is also in your pipeline. Questions?
That's pretty good. I think you just have to go through it and do it a couple of times to just see kind of flow chart how it all goes together, you know?
Definitely.
But it's a great system, but it'll just take some time to go through all the rudimentary stuff to get familiar with it.
And for someone who's been a digital marketer for a while, it makes a little bit more sense. A lot of people come into it and they're used to either running a business or paying for a business that just kind of talks about their offers on social media and then sends them to PayPal, right? That's how some people do it. And I was reading a post yesterday and someone was like, you don't need a fancy funnel. All you need is PayPal and what you offer and talk about it on social media. It's like, technically, could that be true? Yes. But if there's ever a time where your Instagram gets banned, if you get really sick, if you have to travel, if some part of your, you know, visibility has to shut down, then there's no way for you to make money because you're trading time for money with how you're promoting. So the really nice thing about having a pipeline is that it doesn't matter. Like I can set up doing a live, recording a podcast, guesting in someone's Facebook group, and guesting on a podcast. And on each location, I can highlight my color quiz, knowing that people can go there whenever they want, buy my visibility calendar tripwire, go into my email sequence, and join the lounge. And I'm not having to worry about anything except publicly promoting that opt-in page. So that's the beauty of where pipelines come into play, because you do more work on the front end, of course, but then you really get that reward on the back end, because then you don't have to worry about all the technical crap. All you have to worry about is serving your students and then promoting that link publicly. But anyway, I'm a bit of a nerd. We all know this, but I hope that this helped you guys feel a little bit more familiar. You know, go through this step by step. If you haven't had a chance to set things up yet, that's okay. Starting your settings and then build your product. Just kind of name it and let it live there, and learn the language as slowly or as quickly as you want. But know that once you learn the language, it's going to be very, very easy for you to deal with things. And you can always access chat 24/7. That helped me get everything set up when I had questions or was panicking. So feel free to use that resource, because that's included, which is wonderful.
Cool.
Yay.
Great.
Okay.
Right, good job.